Arctic Light is a Finnish-speaking society of like-minded wormhole Eve enthusiasts that like to do crazy, stupid stuff without really being too much elitist about it. We're just enjoying ourselves. We're drinking beer, having LAN parties, and whelping fleets. No fucks given, so to speak.
Arctic Light Alliance was founded in 2009. Initially it was part of a bigger gaming community called Frozen Dawn.
Arctic Light Alliance had Frozen Dawn corporations underneath it. Frozen Dawn was a bigger game community, not just EVE. We had some drama in the Frozen Dawn forums, and that made us think that we want to be independent corporation and not to be part of a gaming community, just an EVE corporation. I think we handled it pretty well and moved on and formed just Arctic Light Corporation.
Arctic Light's first CEO was PJP, and after the split, Whiskey took control of the alliance.
We started heavily trying to develop our PvP skills, and also at that time we closed our C2 hole and we focused all our players in C6 hole. It was vanilla C6 with C5 static, and actually life was pretty good back then. We rolled out C5 nearly every night and had plenty of PvP and also made dank ISK from the C6 sites.
Arctic Light got a lot of publicity when it lost two extremely expensive Archon-class carriers to a no-hold barred corporation's fleet while doing capital escalations in their home.
We were doing sites as normal, and we had a new signature, and we immediately scrambled our forces to the new sig, and it was wormhole. And at the moment when we noticed no-hold scout, we knew that there was fight to be had. And actually we decided that we would take the fight, even though knowing that we had hugely expensive archons on the field. And it was a really nice fight.
In 2015, Russian corporation Quantum Explosion was evicting groups from C6 and C5 wormholes. Arctic Light was also involved in the counter-movement against the Russian menace.
There was the Russians invading every hole, and we were trying to do our part to stop that. Almost every time if some other wormhole corporation, not depending who it was asking for help against Quantum Explosion's invasion, we tried to help them, and actually succeeded a few times. Although the Quantum Explosion players were pretty much better than we were. The zenith of this operation was the attack to the Polaris. It wasn't our initial plan to attack straight to Polaris, but most guys wanted to do that so that it would be a short commitment and didn't take us, let's say, a year or half a year if we would attack every farming hole or corporation that was part of the alliance that time. So we decided that we would attack straight to Polaris, and it was a bad move. After a few years, we had a few unforgettable fights and invasions and counter-invasions and all sorts of stuff that belongs to wormholes. And after we decided that C6 space is not for us anymore, and surprisingly I was able to get everyone behind that idea, and we moved out of C6 Ottawa and howled quite a many howlers out there. It took a month, if I remember correctly, to empty our home back then. We moved out from the C6 and invaded the C4 hole and tried to move there, and the first invasion didn't succeed, so we managed to get us an empty C4 back then. And after we had settled the new C4 home, that was a time I was totally burned out from the CEO job, and I decided to step down.
My campaign was that if I was voted in, Arctic Light is gonna join Feisty Syndicate and go try Nullsec 11. Feisty Syndicate was this big coalition of Finnish people. There was Feisty, Fistful of Finns, for a few Finns more, and Arctic Light, like bunching up, collect all the Finns and EVE and do this big thing, and it was a big thing. But Arctic Light is always has been wormhole-corporation, so it didn't last that long. People like started not logging in, and at some point we decided that we're gonna go back to wormholes, so we scouted out a good C5 and set up there, and we started doing the bearing and the PvPing back in the C5, and people started logging in again. At that point I realized that Arctic Light is very wormhole corporation. People need money to play this game. C5s at that time were the place to get that with the solo dreading and max escalations, and we perfected the escalation methods as hero dreading and stuff like that. So we were raking in a lot of money. That made so that people had a lot of ships and didn't really care. Like we could take any fight, and we did. Like regular evening was like we solo dreaded for an hour, and after that we just parked a dreadnought or a carrier at the hole and started baiting. The nerf to escalations since then on the Orion time started like plummeting, and nerf to escalations also led to the nerf of PvP content, because we couldn't find the like side fleets, stuff like that, and the hunters of side fleets. Well, it was very tangibly, we felt it right away after the end, and it broke up our natural cycle of PvE plus PvP every night. I think I took too much responsibility during my CEO time. I did not delegate enough, and at the end I was quite burnt out by the whole CEO thing, and that's when I told Dragan, who was a main officer at the time, that I was gonna step down during the next meeting.
Kalli was great CEO who made right calls pretty much every situation, but I think all that burden what he carried burned him out. In that time when there was no one to lead us, I remember thinking that something must be done. I posted my first own events in the forums and started to lead people when Kalli wasn't around.
Despite the change in leadership, activity remained low and the core was playing other games. Then it all changed. Inner Hell appeared.
One day there was supposed to be normal site farming day, but when I logged in, someone said that Inner Hell was seeding capitals our hole. The fight for Orion was fierce, but in the end, Inner Hell took the upper hand and evicted us.
After the fall of Orion, Arctic Light decided to move into Unpublished Chapter's home and become a new era as the member of the biggest Finnish coalition in EVE Online.
The eviction got our whole corporation online, and even all that pilots logged in to defend our home. In the middle of all that chaos, I was thinking that what I could prevent these people to go AFK again after the eviction was over. So I started negotiate with Unpublished Chapter, and after a while we moved their wormhole with them and started to build home together. Now when I look back at the eviction, it's funny, since it really turned out to be a thing that saved our corporation and made us stronger than ever. I think the Arctic Light is all about the close community and taking the hardest challenges without taking any step back. I think the future of Arctic Light looks bright thanks our awesome players. We are known for our tenacity, honesty and huge balls, and that will not change.
Arctic Light was and is a fine wormhole corporation, and I like the way they are evolving at the moment. And it's good to see that it wasn't dependent from the leaders back then. New leaders have risen and took control and are taking the corporation forward. And it's pretty nice to have a history with such a corporation.
Arctic Light has been a very, very important associate of ours. They are a bunch of great guys who are fun to fly with, great sense of humor, and they're there when we need them, and we're there when we're there for them when they need us.
And I still play with the Arctic Light guys and hang out in their comms and chat with them and be in touch. I don't know, it was the place where I learned to play Eve and also wormholes, and I just can't describe it. Bunch of good guys.